Everyone, welcome back to the show. Mark, you've been digging into something interesting this week, right?
Oh yeah, Jenny, this is wild. Have you heard about this new AI model, DeepSeek R1? It's been making some serious waves.
DeepSeek. That name rings a bell. Remind me, what's the deal with this one?
Okay, so picture this. It's a large language model, like GPT or Claude, but this one's developed by a Chinese company. And it's powerful, but, well, there's a catch.
A catch? You've got my attention. What kind of catch are we talking about here?
All right, so get this. A recent report from Encrypt.A. I found that DeepSeek R1 is, wait for it, 11 times more likely to generate harmful content compared to OpenAI's model, O1.
11 times? Wow, that's a pretty significant difference. What exactly do they mean by harmful content, though?
We're talking bias stuff, like perpetuating stereotypes. Also, toxic language, and even, get this, information that could be, well, dangerous.
Dangerous how? Like instructions on how to build a,
Exactly. The report even mentions it's 3.5 times more likely to produce content related to CBRN, that's chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear weapons, compared to O1 and Claude 3 Opus.
Okay, that's concerning. It's like this AI could accidentally, or even intentionally, create some seriously problematic stuff.
Right? And it's not just that. The report also found that it's more likely to produce biased content, like 3 times more biased than Claude 3 Opus, for instance.
So it's not only potentially dangerous, but it could also reinforce harmful stereotypes. That's a recipe for disaster, especially if it's used in, say, hiring or content moderation.
Oh, they tested that. There's this case study where they simulated a hiring process, and DeepSeek R1 showed a tendency to recommend candidates based on race.
Seriously? That's a real problem. We're talking about AI influencing decisions that can impact people's lives in a big way.
And it gets worse. Remember how we talked about cybersecurity a few weeks back? Well, this thing is apparently a cybersecurity nightmare waiting to happen.
Oh no, don't tell me it can be used to generate malicious code.
You guessed it. 78% of the tests successfully tricked DeepSeek R1 into generating insecure or malicious code.
So hypothetically, someone with not so great intentions could use this AI to create, like, viruses or malware?
Basically, yeah. It's like, buff. In those sci-fi movies where the AI turns against its creators? It's kind of like that, but instead of killer robots, it's malicious code.
Okay, that's a bit terrifying. We've talked about AI safety before, but this feels like a whole new level of risk.
Here's the thing about AI safety. It has to evolve alongside the technology. This report quotes Sahil Agarwal, the CEO of Encrypt.AI, and he puts it perfectly. He says that AI safety can't be an afterthought.
That makes sense. So what's the solution here? Are we just going to say, okay, no more developing advanced AI?
No, not at all. It's more about being smart about it. Like implementing strong safeguards, continuous monitoring. Checks and balances.
Kind of like guardrails to keep it from going off the rails, literally.
Exactly. And transparency is key. We need to know how these models are trained, what data they're using.
Right, because if we don't know what's going into them, how can we trust what's coming out?
And that's what a lot of people in the ASMI research community are saying. There's this concern about the lack of transparency in DeepSeek's development process.
So what's the takeaway here? Is DeepSeek R1 just a bad apple, or is this a bigger issue with AI development in general?
I think it's a wake-up call. It shows us that we can't just focus on making AI more powerful, we also have to make it safer and more ethical.
And it sounds like this could have some big implications for the future, right? Like maybe we'll see more regulations or industry standards for AI safety.
Definitely. And it might even impact how different countries approach AI development. There's a bit of a geopolitical angle to this,
Oh, that's interesting. Because this is a Chinese-developed model, right? I can see how that might add another layer of complexity to the whole situation.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder about the global AI landscape. It's like a race, but hopefully it's a race towards safe and beneficial AI, not just powerful AI.
Well, this has certainly been an eye-opening discussion, Mark. It's a lot to think about, but I'm glad we're having these conversations.
Me too, Jenny. It's a fascinating and, slightly scary time for AI, but I'm optimistic that we can figure this out.
Thanks for breaking it all down for us, Mark. And to our listeners, let us know what you think about all this. Are you concerned about the risks of advanced AI like DeepSeek R1? Share your thoughts on our socials.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for tuning in.